How to start with competitive programming? This is one of the questions which has been asked a lot. In fact, a lot of candidates ask me like how to start with preparing for competitive programming, especially when they know basics of language. Hi, welcome to Design Strong. In this video, we will see how one can start with competitive programming. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So before we start with the how, let's understand what are the problems that one faces when they try to start with competitive programming. We'll take it with an example. So just imagine that you right now are preparing for an interview and you start with competitive programming. How do you start it? You start with knowing the basics and revising upon them. You start with the revision of data structures. You start looking out at the top questions which are asked in that language. Now, let's try to get in one more example to see the anomalies that we have. Let's say there is one class 8 student. We teach them all the 3 laws of Newton and their equations. And then once the student says that he is now aware and he is now through with all the Newton laws of motion and also aware of how the equations works, and then you give them out a problem from IIT JEE which is totally dependent on Newton's law of motion. Do you think they'll be able to solve that problem? No. It's not because they do not know the laws of motion, it's because they are not aware about the application, like how do they apply laws of motion in the problem that they have. This really happens with a lot of candidates in interviews as well. They know the concepts, they know how arrays work, they know about linked list, doubly linked list, data structures like graph, binary tree, etc. But then when it comes to problem solving, this is where the real challenge is. This is where they freeze out in general because they have not seen that problem earlier. So the solution for this one is practice out a lot. If you have already seen that problem earlier, then it becomes 50% more easier for you to start writing code for the same in an interview, because in an interview generally you will be expected to solve at least 2 questions if it is a data structures and algorithms interview within around 1 hour. So first and foremost is practice out everything that is available, practice out on the concepts, questions, etc. Second is prepare gradually. So what do we mean by prepare gradually is, do not start with, let's say, solving out problems from binary tree or graph direct. Start gradually, start from, let's say, arrays, then maybe move to list and data structures like stacks, queues, and then binary tree. Solve the problems which are directly related to the concept. So it's like, let's say you go to one of the competitive website, you select the category as linked list, then all the questions which will be coming will be from linked list data structure. That means at the back of the mind you will be aware that linked list is the data structure that will be used. Try to solve out problems there. Once you think you are able to solve those problems, then move to the next data structure, and when you, let's say, are sure that until binary tree or graph you are able to solve all the problems, that's when you start looking at competitive programming. That's when you start with actual emphasis on implementation of solutions with those data structures. Then you should start moving to websites like LeetCode. Now, on LeetCode as well, you should not start with, let's say, a random question upfront. You should start with difficulty level. On LeetCode, for example, you might have seen that there are 3 levels of difficulty which is there. Start with the easier one. In case if you are able to solve easier one, then move to the medium level, then move to the hardest questions which are available. Next, what you should focus on is how are you solving those problems. After you are able to solve your problems, visit the test cases section, visit and check if all the test cases are running fine or not, how is the complexity of the solution that you provided, and then go through the code once again and to see if there is any possibility of optimization in terms of space or time, to check if all the corner cases are covered or not. Then only move to the next problem. When you start with this in initial stages, probably one question can take you 2 to 3 hours to solve with taking step-by-step approach. But gradually, when you get through this process, you'll be able to solve like one question per 30 minutes or something like that, based on whatever is the technical understanding that you have at that point of time. Next way to prepare is, once you have gone through at least 150 to 200 problems, and have covered all the major data structures that we have, then try to move towards project. Start creating sample projects using these data structures, and just do not get into very difficult projects like, let's say, design Facebook, or you start creating a Facebook replica using all the data structures. No, just start with writing simple APIs. For example, you could just write a simple API in which user sends the number as API parameter, and then you send out the Fibonacci result of that number. First, you should try with the recursive solution, see what is the latency that you have, how is the API performance. Utilize tools like JMeter for testing out the performance of your API, and then try to optimize on the solution. Then try to use logics like cache, or let's say dynamic programming, etc. That is when you can excel. Now, once you are ready with this minimal projects, you'll start gaining confidence. Then maybe you can appear for mock interviews. So mock interviews are also available on many websites. I think LeetCode as well has it.
कौन है ये लोग?
So you should be able to like appear for mock interviews. In that mock interview, what they will do is they'll have 2 questions to be answered in 1 hour. So that should suffice, because now those questions can be from any data structures, and you will be by now proficient enough. Now this entire journey takes around 3 months of time for a normal guy. There are people who excels in 1 month as well. There are people who take a bit more as well. This is completely fine. Like, there is nobody who's going to judge you.
No.
But then you should start somewhere and then take it gradually, step by step. That's when you can excel at competitive programming. And what I will suggest is, let's say you should not probably try to go for any of the paid tutorials or any of the paid classes. You should try to utilize the free resources which are available on internet, because those are really good. In case if you want some of the resources, I can certainly provide that. You can write to me in the comments, and I'll be able to help you out. So I hope this guide on how to start with competitive programming will be able to help out a lot of candidates who are starting with their competitive programming preparation. This can be useful for college grads as well, because competitive programming is very commonly asked in interview preparations, in campus selections as well. I hope you like it. In case if you did, press the subscribe button and share the videos amongst your friends, and say design strong.